Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mae.
I'm Max.
And I'm Ben, and we were had.
Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were. Today we're going for the big one. Today
The white whale.
is the day that will be in infamy. I can't speak. What?
Why are you nervous?
Go ahead.
Why do you
What?
say
I'm nervous. Here's why I'm nervous.
Why are you
I'm
nervous?
Big
I'm
stakes,
nervous.
high expectations for this one. A lot of people know a lot about this, a lot of conspiracy rabbit holes. I mean, how can someone become an Epsteinologist in one day?
I
But
can't.
that's what Ben tried
I
to do.
was not a expert on this beforehand. I can't claim that I've been following this closely. I know the basics of it, but today was a intense research day. I really buckled down. I went to the New York Public Library. I turned off all the other lights. Is that what you... Anyway, I've been studying.
Do you take an Adderall?
You take an Adderall.
Ritalin.
I took an
Please,
Addy.
I know we make a lot of jokes, but can we not defame this poor man, this guy, this sweet boy?
Everything that we're saying on this podcast is allegedly. We are tackling today Epstein, though.
Right. What
Yeah,
are you guys
you didn't
talking about?
say
Did he
it.
commit a crime?
Ben doesn't know everything. Give him a little bit of leeway.
It was just a day. I just got. It just kept saying I went through his financier career, and then I stopped. I couldn't.
Listen, smart guy. Honestly, he was very intelligent. We'll give him that.
Most sociopaths are.
Also, love how you just throw in we. We'll give him that.
Great guy. Also,
Every time Mae speaks in this episode, she's speaking for all of us. Really.
I think if we can speak for everybody here when I say that he was also attractive. He was. Come on. He was a
Okay.
good-looking guy, which is weird to say, but it's just the fucking truth if you look at it objectively. But anyway, did he or did he not kill himself? Go ahead, Ben.
Little background. Everyone knows this story. In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida, began investigating this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, after a parent complained that he had sexually abused her 14-year-old daughter. So 2005 already, he's suspicious.
Yeah, he went to court for that too.
Pleaded guilty and convicted in 2008. Again, this is all Florida, for child prostitution, soliciting a prostitute. He served almost 13 months in custody, and he was convicted of only these two crimes, and there was like a controversial plea deal and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
This was all before. The events that everyone knows is what happened in 2019, where he was arrested for sex trafficking minors in Florida, New York, and in the Caribbean was where it was a lot of it going on.
Now, and today, what are we focusing on?
So I thought we would focus on two things, which is, was he attractive?
Well, that's no mystery. Let me tell you something.
The mystery is solved. He fucks. Continue.
I was thinking that we would focus on whether or not he was killed versus suicide.
Right.
And if he were killed, who would have done it? Yeah.
Wow, that's
Love
great.
it.
Love it. Two-pronged. I think this is one that not a lot of people have opinions on. I think this is one that people on the internet, they're very easy going about this. People will be like, listen, I'll give you benefit of the doubt here. My theory may not be the right theory. A lot of people are like that online.
Most people,
A lot
about
of people are like
most
that.
things, actually.
Most things,
Yeah.
people are open to new opinions, new attitudes, especially when you get a little silly with it. I think that's what people want.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Let's
All
rip
right,
it.
let's
Well,
do
we
it.
started super serious, so I feel like
Yeah!
now we've got to
Yeah.
loosen up a little bit.
I meant everything I said.
Oh, God.
July 18th.
Can we just say right
Yeah.
off can we just maybe a blanket? We don't appreciate what he was accused of doing. Maybe let's say that.
Is that not obvious?
You haven't made it that obvious so far. Let me tell you that.
Listen, it wasn't good. We're not a fan.
He wasn't a good guy.
But I mean, we'll get into it, but I think that there's more to it than I think the CIA was involved potentially.
Oh, well, just because
Yeah.
he's an awful person doesn't mean that there aren't other awful people conspiring with him.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But him being awful is a given. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Right. There were very fine people on both sides of this one.
Ghislaine is a victim. Also, her trial's starting, I think, this week, and I'm like, woo, that is going to be hot. It's going to be interesting.
Do you think she'll make it to the trial room?
Great question.
She's a big flipper. She could flip.
She could flip.
Are they well, here's the thing. Are they even let her flip? There's too many layers to this. And can you believe anything she actually says at this point? Who got to her?
That's true. Okay.
Why don't you take us through this
Also,
one?
there was an article today in the New York Times about, so we're talking now November 23rd, 2021, about his sort of like final days and like the things that he said about suicide. We'll get into it.
I read that where, of course, the New York Times, just like, don't give credence to the people being like the failing New York Times, because they're like, leading up to his suicide, he kept saying, listen, guys, I'm not suicidal, which is exactly what you would say if you were suicidal. Which is like, they framed it like, look at this guy lying about how suicidal he was.
Right.
The quotes of him being like, I'm not suicidal.
Which is someone with like clenched teeth being like, I'm happy. Tone matters. On July 18, 2019, Epstein was denied bail after offering $600,000. At 1:27 a.m. on July 23rd, 2019, he was found semi-conscious in his cell with injuries to his neck. And prison officials questioned his cellmate, saying, did he do something? And he denied harming Epstein.
Does he deny seeing it?
Which one?
The cellmate, was he like, yeah,
There was someone in the cell with him?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made it more dramatic. This was the like attempted suicide thing. He's not dead yet.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
He
sorry.
doesn't. Yeah. I made it sound like he was. But so this was like a few. How many days before did this happen? Well, a few
He
days
already
before.
tried it?
He was put on suicide watch after this,
Okay.
Oh.
and he was held in an observation cell. And after 6 days, psychological staff removed Epstein from suicide watch following a psychiatric examination. So he was on suicide watch, and then they took him off of it.
He's such a high stakes person, though. Why would you do that?
So overall, if the answer actually is suicide, then a million things went wrong, and a million people didn't do their jobs properly.
Either way, though.
If it was murder, then I think definitely
one person
probably
did their job very right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Also,
to murder did his job.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in the New York Times article, too, the other thing that they said was like one of their big sources was one of the prisoners at the time who was in a neighboring cell emailed the FBI. Gave his case, as one is wont to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not in prison, and I wouldn't email the FBI.
Right. What's the FBI at AOL.com?
It's at AOL for sure. All right, so I didn't know about the first attempted suicide, so that's already a ripple.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that either.
And it's important for like how closely he's being monitored.
Do we think that is it a possibility that there were 2 murder attempts? Because what are the people what are the conspiracy
sure, and I
people
guess
say?
they were thinking that maybe it was this cellmate.
Well, that's probably easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Payday.
Yeah.
On August 9th, Epstein's cellmate was transferred and no replacement
Sorry to
was
interrupt
brought
you one
in.
more time.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say I'm open to any conclusion we come to.
Okay.
I'm a sponge. I don't know that much about this. I'll believe anything you tell me. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So then on August 10th, Hillary Clinton walked into the cell and murdered Jeffrey Epstein.
I believed that first part. My
End of
face was
story.
like, really? That's funny.
What a dangerous statement. All right, continue.
Sorry. I was trying to think of a more obscure person, and Hillary Clinton came to mind. Who should I have said?
Yeah, why would you say the person that did it? Like,
Yeah.
that's not even
right.
funny.
We're all going to get killed after this podcast.
Yeah, we're getting suicided
Would
ourselves.
Pelosi have been funnier? I can't. Or like more random?
Yeah, Pelosi was seen going to the cell and doing this. And then killing him. I did the
Wearing that scarf. What was that?
Oh my God, the Kenti scarf.
Africans, the
Yeah.
African, like the
That
scarf.
has got to be
Right.
the most embarrassing thing. The cringeworthiest thing that's
All right,
ever
so the
happened.
cellmate was moved out of the cell.
Right. The evening of his death, Epstein met with his lawyers who described him as, quote, upbeat. I just don't. Whatever.
Who can you believe?
And then he's escorted. So August 10th, by the way, is the day he dies. So it's a day after he's put alone in that cell.
Okay.
Footage shows that the 2 guards failed to perform the required institutional count at 10 p.m. and recorded a guard briefly walking by Epstein's cell at 10:30, the last time the guards entered the tier where his cell was located. Epstein was not checked every 30 minutes, which is what he should have been.
Because of a suicide attempt?
I guess because of the suicide, but also don't guards just like walk around? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
They do their rounds? I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no
I'm assuming
clue.
it's like RAs. RAs are doing more rounds in fucking college. Let me tell you that.
What a weird thing to be an RA in college.
Yeah, to be a professional narc in college.
Literally.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah.
I know it's like, oh, you get free dorm, but at what cost?
At what cost?
At what cost? Everybody fucking hating you?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
You were an orientation advisor. That's different, though.
Yeah, and I got fired.
Did you?
Yeah. Because
For what? What were you-
pictures of me went online on Facebook of me being at like parties and stuff, and they were like, "That's not a good influence." And I was like, "Well, you can't stop me from fucking being cool." Oh my god! I was wearing like a slut hat and like a back of a car, like with like a joint. in
You
my
should have
hand.
just been like, that's not me.
That's not me, and they're like, "It's clearly you." And I'm
No,
like,
it's not
I'm
me.
not a slut.
Yeah.
What are you
Ask
accusing me of?
Ask anyone.
Are you slut shaming?
That's true. It was a couple years later I could have accused him of that.
I'm no
But-
slut. I'll fuck you right here.
Oh, but RAs. Oof.
2 guards were assigned that night to check his cell. Apparently, they fell asleep at their desk for about 3 hours, and that
Likely
was
story.
later falsified.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 cameras in front of Epstein's cell malfunctioned that night. Another camera has
Convenient.
footage that was, quote, unusable.
Because it showed someone killing.
That's hilarious because it showed Hillary Clinton going in there with a knife
Yeah,
or with a rope.
that's not usable.
Yeah, they said in the report that it was not from her good side, so they cannot use the video footage.
Apparently, she was cursing. They had to.
Inappropriate.
It's not appropriate. TVMA.
Oh, man.
Oh, we're having fun.
Epstein was found unresponsive in cardiac arrest the next morning. So, right. So the morning of August 10th.
Okay.
So
he was unconscious in his cell for how long of a time?
Well, we're kind of going to get into the autopsy thing. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it comes in later, but I'm not quite sure when in the night he would have been killed.
Okay.
He was
But
found.
the new guards found him.
Yes. Also a good question. Probably, because that's a long shift, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be doctor rules.
Could be talking at the guards do 36 hours. Yeah. He was found in a kneeling position with a strip of bed sheet wrapped around his neck. The sheet was tied to the top of his bunk. He was believed to have been dead for about 2 hours by then.
Okay.
Oh, gotta be tough way to do it.
I know.
They performed CPR on him. Other prisoners heard the guards saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe."
So dramatic.
I know, right?
And
And why? Like,
then the guards pulled an alarm, notifying the supervisor. They said Epstein hung himself. His body was transported to the medical examiner's office soon after, and that is against protocol, like right away. It's supposed to be treated like a crime scene. Even if you think it's suicide, you're not supposed to just remove the body like that.
yeah, that makes sense.
The
Sounds like
Bureau
someone was
of
told to do
Prisons
that.
mandates that a suicide scene be treated with the, quote, same level of protection as any crime scene in which a death has occurred.
Wow.
Right. Especially a very high profile death.
Yeah. What people are going
And-
to have a lot of questions about.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to photograph the body in the correct setting.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting.
Yeesh.
So now we're getting into, those are the events. Now we're getting into suicide versus murder.
Right.
The big first question.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of polls done. Wikipedia showed a few different ones. I'll just say one. 16% of Americans say they believed that Epstein committed suicide. 16.
That's insane.
45% believe he was murdered, and 39% unsure.
Yeah. I mean, I just think all of the coincidences of like the security cameras going out, the security guards sleeping. I don't fucking think so. Like, it's all way
There's a
too
malfunction.
convenient. Yeah, and
Well,
like, and
and
on
now-
someone like him, like if it was like, it's not just some random guy. Like the whole world is watching.
Right.
So like, I don't know.
You know what's encouraging to me about that stat? The 39% unsure. I just think that human nature in general, like I don't feel like people, especially Americans, it's amazing to me that 39% are like, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah, that's good, actually.
That's
I really
actually
like
very
that.
nice that they say that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to come out of this.
It is a good thing. Yeah. To be like, I don't have all the facts. I don't know. And it's like,
39%
thank
of
you.
people. That's pretty
That's good.
good.
That is
Yeah.
good. I like that.
Okay, so now we get into the autopsy. So New York's chief medical examiner, Barbara Sampson, does a 4-hour autopsy, and she concludes that it's suicide with the
Okay.
sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the Epstein's lawyers hire another pathologist named Michael Baden. And this guy Baden is like you look at the list of, he's like the autopsy guy to the stars. Like he's had his
All the big ones.
it is OJ.
MJ,
OJ.
CJ, AJ, JJ.
Wait, did he really do?
He's been involved
Nicole
in
Brown
autopsy
Simpson's?
cases with in the OJ case. What were the? I'm gonna look up some of the big names because it was a who's who. I'm telling you.
Is he the guy you use when
Epstein's
you
Black
want
Book.
him to back up your conclusions? Like, do the prosecutors or the defendants use him?
Well, he once had the other for like a year. He had that big New York job. He used to be the city's chief examiner. And then afterwards, he became. I think he also has like a TV show called I think it's called like Autopsy or like something like that.
okay.
If I did it.
Yeah. I don't know. For some reason, I can't. type
Just on
my
Bravo?
computer. Yeah, no big deal.
It's actually like really fun. He's like having a martini like over a dead body. Andy Cohen's
Could
there.
be with the candlestick and the broom closet.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Oh my god.
Why can't I type on my computer?
What are you looking up?
I'm trying to type on my computer. I'm not able to. I wanted to see who the other people were that he had.
Done autopsy.
Done
autopsies for?
autopsy. Yeah. It's something. I'm telling you, it's big.
But-
I just can't remember.
But now he's acting as like a private detective version of a medical examiner, essentially, like a private guy.
I guess so. If he's working for,
Like he's
if
not
he can be like
affiliated with the state.
hired,
He's not working for the suits.
I guess. Right.
Well,
I think so.
yeah, it's like a
yes.
second opinion, basically.
Okay.
So my computer is like locked, so I can't find the name of the people. But just know it is. It's it's one in particular that was named dead people.
John Bonet.
So the important thing here is that Baden, he goes on 60 Minutes and he says, openly that he thinks it's murder.
Wow. Okay. That'd be
So-
so hard to tell because it's just ligature marks around your neck.
So here's a few of the specifics.
I'm sure you could tell the force versus this versus
But
somebody else.
also here's another hypothesis too. Somebody goes in there, he knows the person, like, and he's like, "Listen, you have to hang yourself right now, or else like I will do it for you, basically, or like something like that."
Make
you know
it
what I mean?
hurt.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So photos taken after the death show bottles and medicine standing upright on the top of the bunk. First I should say, Epstein was about 6 feet, weighed 185 pounds. And so Baden says that it could have been, he questions whether he could have been able to hang himself from the lower bunk, whether just like weight-wise this was possible.
Well, I mean, let's factor in age as well. Could Hillary have really done that? With her arms, like she's, if he's a big guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
But when she kills people, she has superhuman.
Oh,
Right,
yeah, she
right,
takes
right.
like one of those crystals.
Yeah.
Rip
It's
it.
easy to forget.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Okay.
Your eyes bulge out.
So,
I
Epstein's
voted for her 3 times. I don't know.
3 times.
One for good measure.
You wrote her in.
I wrote her in.
Oh, that's funny.
Photos taken after the death show bottles and medicine standing upright on the top. Baden also questioned why Epstein did not use other materials available in his cell as a ligature, such as wires and tubing from a sleep apnea machine, which were stronger and longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do they just let prisoners have all these things that they can easily hang themselves with?
Yeah.
Here's a noose for your sleep apnea.
And then moving away from Baden a little bit, there was also, on August 14th, unofficial sources reported that broken bones were found in Epstein's neck. Although this can occur in the suicide of an elderly person, according to forensic experts and studies, so I'm not sure which experts that is. These broken bones are more common in victims of homicide than strangulation.
He wouldn't have been able to jump off the top bunk. Like, it's not. You know what I mean? Like
That was always my fear. That's why I always wanted the bottom bunk.
suiciding accidentally.
But I was afraid I would die via accidental suicide on top bunk.
Getting wrapped in your sheets.
You know, when you're going through the Times autopsies, like, a quarter of them are people jumping off.
I was in the top bunk and I used to roll off that fucker all the time.
No, that's
Yeah.
so hard. Do you
Yeah.
just fall like this?
Yeah, I was just like, well, I did it again.
Oh my god!
I don't
Wow.
know. I turned out fine.
So the other, okay, so it has to do with suicide versus homicide. Let's see if there's anything else to really mention here.
Did I make this up? I thought I read at some point or another about the guards they signed an affidavit saying that they were intentionally not paying attention.
Like they were told not
They
to
were
do that.
told not to pay attention, but that was in exchange for immunity. And then now they're silenced. They can't say what happened.
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
That's good. Way to do the research.
I did my best.
I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere, but that could be maybe I had a dream about it.
Such a randomly specific dream.
That makes sense for you, though. That's on brand. That's on brand.
May
Just wake
dreams.
up, I'm like Hillary Clinton.
Rodham Clinton.
May dreams
I too
about
voted for her.
Yeah.
What do you say?
that you dream about the details of a crime
The
scene.
minute
yeah.
detail. She goes, Mark, the guards, they signed an affidavit.
It's not an affidavit.
Aaron's dreams are like an Aaron Sorkin movie. It's just people.
They're very, and they're quick.
They're fast,
They're sharp.
talking.
They're
What, did you see the affidavit?
You signed
No,
an
I didn't
affidavit.
see
You
it.
signed an affidavit. Affidavit who?
We're walking. We're walking.
Specifically, to be dreaming in legal jargon and affidavit.
In May's dreams, she has a full JD. She's just
Oh, yeah.
knows everything about the law.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's dramatic. And Martin Sheen's there.
Okay, so one more thing with Baden, the neck. So for him, the neck wound was in the center of Epstein's neck, not under his mandibles, as in a typical hanging. Baden said that this is
Mandible
more.
sounds like genitals in a slang term.
Yeah, we're talking about a death here.
My mandibles.
I'm a horrible
Yeah.
person. Okay.
Oh, all of a sudden he's horrible, not some fuckable dilf.
Both of those things can be true. Okay.
Nuance.
It's true. Live in the gray.
Baden said that this is more common when a victim is strangled by a wire or cord.
Okay.
Baden also said that the wound was much thinner than the strip of bedsheet, and although there was blood on Epstein's neck, it was absent on the bedsheet ligature. In
Oh.
response to Baden's claims, Sampson, the other autopsy person, stood by the conclusion that Epstein's death was a suicide. So that disagreement.
All right. Well, that guy's like, actually, no. And you're like, that's your answer to all those things I just brought up? You fucking
Yeah.
fuck.
Weird. Now, who was this? There's a woman, the examiner,
The one that said, the official one that said it was suicide was a woman.
who
Barbara
did she
Sampson.
work for?
The
She works for
state.
the city. Or the state.
Okay,
City.
well, there goes that.
City.
Yeah, not credible. Off
Okay.
the bat.
Yeah, so you're working for the government. Okay. All right.
So should we pause here and just ask, do you think it's murder or
Postulate.
suicide? Before we move on to part 2?
I have a few things to say.
Yeah.
And I can't get away from the initial suicide attempt.
Yeah.
The fact that if he met with his lawyers after that, wouldn't he have been like, somebody tried to kill me? If it was a murder attempt.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the first one was a murder attempt.
So you think he was suicidal, but then wasn't suicidal anymore, and then somebody
I'm not
finished
saying
the
he
job?
wasn't suicidal, but I'm saying it's possible that somebody went in and made sure he wasn't talking.
Do you think it's possible that he was suicidal and they just let him be in a situation where he was able to kill himself?
Yes. But then that would also...
That's
Yeah.
a big possibility.
But that would be like, okay, we need to pay off these guards to look the other way. There's still
There's still,
corruption
yes,
going on.
it's not necessarily like murder, maybe. It could also be like, we know he wants to kill himself. Let's just let him do it.
I could see that happening.
Me
Right?
too. The only thing that I do find weird, I didn't know that information about the blood not being on the fucking the sheet, because if he's sitting there dead for 2 hours, there'd be some transfer.
Yeah, it's weird.
Also, how can sheet draw blood?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Something stinks.
I don't like, and it's Epstein's fucking body.
Oh,
So the reason why there's so many conspiracy theories about the murder is, of course, because not only the weird circumstances of his death, but a lot of people associated with him, and it's very possible that many people would prefer that he wouldn't talk about whatever he knew.
Right, because I mean, here's the thing: he was already a sex offender.
Right.
Yeah.
He was convicted of pretty serious things, and he got what? A slap on the dick.
I know. That's so weird.
That alone should tell you that
Right in the mandibles.
he's working. He's working with people. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Or I mean, when you're a billionaire, you have friends.
Also, you said at one point that his bail was only $600,000. That's really low. Didn't he come out on bail for $600,000?
Yeah, that is low.
That's low as hell.
I mean,
super
they
rich.
definitely they should have frozen his assets. That's the first thing you do. No,
Yeah, and they should have been like literally. I mean, in a
Right?
Yeah, because
can't afford that. But Ghislaine can't scrape together 600,000.
I mean, it should have been at literally like
That's walking
$20
around
million
money.
dollars.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
I think I read it wrong.
Oh, you did. Was it
was
$6 million?
$6 billion.
No, I didn't read the number wrong. Epstein was denied bail after offering $600,000 to be able to wear an ankle tracker at his New York City townhouse. So maybe he like
Oh,
made
that was
an
sweet of him
or
to offer to
something.
live at his mansion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
right.
exactly.
I'll tell you what. I'll stay at home.
Yeah.
You got me.
They're like, what the fuck kind of deal is this?
And I'll tell you what. I won't eat that good.
Yeah.
The chef, only 2 meals a day.
Great. I could get cabin fever. I'm willing to.
Oh,
yeah.
no. I'm only on one floor.
So we could go through a list of different people that are associated with him. There's Prince Andrew, obviously.
Right.
And then some other random people. Chris Tucker was
Yeah,
like...
Chris Tucker. Well, Chris Tucker
the
was
comedian?
Only,
Yeah.
but he was only on the flight, I think.
Well, yeah, but a lot of this is going to be like that. It's
Yeah,
like
What do you mean
people
only
that-
on the flight? Because I always hear about these flight records. People love bringing up the flight records. They went to this island.
Not necessarily.
No.
So they could have just taken the plane and gone to South by Southwest or what?
no. Like they were going somewhere together, but he wasn't always. In
He
this,
wasn't
like,
always raping.
not always the rape, just most of the time.
So
the
like with
rape.
Clinton, one of the
I
things
don't
was
know,
going
maybe he
to...
was always raping.
With Bill Clinton, one of the trips was like to Africa for the Clinton Foundation and stuff like that. So some of it is traveling. It is
Another
the same
reputable
plane
organization.
that they nicknamed like the Lolita or something.
The Lolita, yeah, or Little Lolita, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Lolita. And what was the name of the island? It's Little St. James?
Little St. James.
Who you said some random people were on there.
Well, Bill Clinton was on there a few times, but he.
Well, we don't quite know. Yeah.
Well, I saw in the documentary that one of the girls said that she saw him there, but then she didn't know that he did anything. Or one of the workers there was like, we've seen Bill at this island a few times, but not in that way. Like he was at the.
He was fucking...
He was taking some sun.
He was getting some
kayaking.
sun. He was on vacation. You can't vacation anymore.
It's very funny to
God.
me that these people are all. How do you still pick sides or whatever? Because it's like everyone. Donald J. Trump and Clinton both had the same amount of involvement with this man, but both sides
Yeah.
are like pervert.
I know, right? Yeah.
And it's like you can't pick and choose who fucked on the island,
yeah.
Right.
right?
Well, DJT never went to the island, that's for sure.
Probably not. I mean, both
Yeah.
of these guys associated with him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It
Heavy.
seems like the stuff on Clinton, not to get... This is not
Right.
a political statement
Yeah.
at all. It seems like the stuff on Clinton is a little more damning than the stuff on
Right.
Trump. Not saying that both of their hands are clean.
But there's that video of Trump with Epstein at that party.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
Trump's like he likes to fuck kids.
Yeah.
yes.
Isn't that weird?
Oh, wait. I
It's like
should,
he likes him young or something
yeah,
like that.
I'm real.
yeah. Let me take back my statement just
Yeah.
in this way, which is that where I'm talking about the question of whether they were actually like on the island doing the stuff.
Yeah.
Not about awareness of what was going on.
Right.
Because when it comes to awareness of what was going on and looking the other way,
Yeah.
Trump, I mean, he didn't even look the other way. I mean, it sounds like
He was looking right at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through Trump and Clinton. I feel like is the major
Okay.
players here.
Right.
So in 2002, Trump called Epstein a quote terrific guy in an interview with New York Magazine,
Good.
but then he said
He was
later,
an active pedophile at this point already.
what's
Well,
that?
he wasn't convicted yet.
He wasn't convicted.
Epstein, but he was. I mean, like if he was convicted like the next year, he was charged right in 2003. That's what you said.
5, I thought.
Yeah, 2005.
Well, yeah, he
Yeah.
was probably getting to the height of his powers at the point.
Okay.
So, but then later, Trump, I guess after everything happens, tells reporters that he was not a fan of Epstein, and that the two had a, quote, falling out and had not spoken for some 15 years. So basically a little bit after terrific
he
guy
got,
quote.
But also a little bit after, a little bit after he gave the terrific guy quote, and then they didn't speak after the, allegedly, according to Trump anyway, after the first indictment.
Right.
It's like, who can you believe anymore?
I mean,
Trump.
You can't trust these guys.
oh, really? You can't?
And then again, in the New York Magazine interview, it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side.
Oh, boy.
Just
this is what's also very strange to me is like allegedly, like for all like public appearances purposes, Ghislaine was his girlfriend. So I'm like, so everyone's just openly being like, he fucks women all are up and down, all around town.
It's like a poly situation. Once you're rich, there's no rules anymore.
True.
Just pop a pill and see what happens.
In July 2019, Trump said, I knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. And he had not been a fan of Epstein. Again, a video shot in 1992 surfaced showing the two men partying together at Mar-a-Lago. By 2007, Trump reportedly banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club for unseemly pursuit of young females. The ban allegation was included in court documents filed by attorney Bradley Edwards, although Edwards later said it was a rumor he tried to but could not confirm.
Okay. And now the Clintons.
Let's get to Bill. So after it all happened, this was kind of the official statement from a Clinton representative, a tweet, I think. President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to in Florida some years ago, or those which he has been recently charged in New York. In 2002 and 2003, President Clinton took a total of 4 trips on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane. 1 to Europe, 1 to Asia, and 2 to Africa, which included stops in connection with the work of the Clinton Foundation. Staff, supporters of the foundation, and his Secret Service detail traveled on every leg of every trip. He had one meeting with Epstein in his Harlem office in 2002, and around the same time made one brief visit to Epstein's New York apartment with a staff member and his security detail. He's not spoken to Epstein in well over a decade and has never been to Little St. James Island, Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, or his residence in Florida.
How come the flight records say that he's been on it 26 times then?
Yeah. So let's... Okay,
I did not have... I've actually watching that. It's really good. And I don't know the American Crime Story, and I don't understand how he has time for all these affairs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, listen, when you find a way. When you're horned up.
He's a busy man.
Well, they have the Kennedy tunnels, right? To get the whores in and out in the White House.
Sure.
Is that a fact?
It's got to be. I just made it up, but it's got to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll go through a few things and then also about the why that number is higher. So on the private jet ride in 2002, this was the Africa one. It was for economic development on the continent and the ongoing fight against HIV and AIDS. Quote, Jeffrey is both a highly successful financier and a committed philanthropist with a keen sense of global markets and an in-depth knowledge of 21st century science. That was Clinton saying that in 2002. I especially appreciated his insights and generosity during the recent trip to Africa to work on democratization, empowering the poor, citizen service, and combating HIV/AIDS.
I mean, wasn't Weinstein also a massive
philanthropist?
Yeah. Big donor, Democratic donor.
You got to offset.
All
They're making
philanthropists.
the world a better place.
All philanthropists have this dark of a side.
Yeah. Why else do philanthropy?
Literally.
You're making up for something.
I used to have a bit about that, and it didn't work. And I was like, what are people not getting about this? People that own charities are raping your children. I don't know. It's so weird how you don't see that.
Yeah. No, it's a guy with a small dick getting a Ferrari. It's the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot of stories about like people like it's awful. Like when when they go to Africa, the charities and stuff, and they're like taking advantage of kids when they go there. It's like,
yikes.
It's like people are perverts.
People are the worst.
People are perverts.
That Nassar guy, the gymnastics guy, he was a huge philanthropist. He did a bunch of crazy stuff. He was also diddling young girls.
Larry Nassar?
Yep.
He was like a philanthropist?
I know
he's a pervert, but...
Oh, yeah. Philanthropist and pervert. Those are synonymous.
That's good. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Philanthropist, pervert.
Yep.
Philanthropist, pervert. Same word.
Same word.
Same word.
That Venn diagram's a circle, my friend.
If you're dating a guy and he's like, hey, I do all this charity work, whatever, run for the hills.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a bad person.
Right. And inversely, if he says that he's a pervert, he probably is a philanthropist. He's probably a
He's
charitable
actually,
guy.
don't forget that he's actually giving a lot of money away. I mean,
Right,
that's a bonus. That's actually a bonus.
Forget
That's
that
nice.
pretty quickly. So, anyway.
That's what we think. So, flight records.
Do we have anything from the flight records that denies, like, do they say anything after the flight records came out?
So, flight records published by Gawker in 2015 suggested that Mr. Clinton. Sorry, I'm basically reading word for word from an article. I don't
That's
usually
fine.
just refer to him as Mr. Clinton.
ahead.
Took at least a dozen.
Call him Daddy Bill.
Billy Boy. Took at least a dozen separate flights on Epstein's plane. A year later, Fox News, ever heard of it?
Right. Fair and balanced.
Flight records showed President Clinton had flown at least 26 times on Epstein's plane. And of course, because it's Fox, that's why Mae knew it. Additionally, New York Magazine reported in 2003 that Epstein once threw a dinner party at the house in Clinton's honor. The former president never showed, but the magazine reported that the other guests included Donald Trump,
Well, they
the
used to be great
magician.
friends.
How about this? The magician David Blaine.
That makes sense. He's definitely a pervert.
Yeah.
David Blaine? Look at those
Oh,
eyes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch my dick disappear.
That's a weird trick.
That'd be fascinating, though.
Yeah. How do you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
He put it in you when you were asleep.
Oh. Why do I have to be asleep?
Because they're perverts.
Blaine. He's done it again.
That's hilarious.
The Daily Beast reported that a charity organization formerly run by Epstein donated. Oh, no, this is just a paragraph about Epstein being charitable. Okay. Fair and balanced. There is no sign of Hillary Clinton coming on the Lolita Express, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. See, that's actually what's funny about it. Is that like everyone's like Hillary did it, but like, would Hillary's motive be here?
Yeah. I mean, to save her husband's ass, I guess. But
Yeah. Oh, this guy. Yeah, she wouldn't want to be embarrassed by Bill.
Yeah. Well, also, what is kind of strange is like allegedly a lot of these trips are for the Clinton Foundation or whatever, and it's like, isn't she heavily involved in that or no? Like, wouldn't she be on at least one of those trips?
I'm sure she would. Well, but she was like a senator, then presidential candidate, then
She was
Secretary
always
of
She was
State.
working more
busy.
than he was.
She's busy. Yeah, she's got shit going on.
Here's the thing, though, is this is what like people like to be like the Clintons or like wouldn't Trump have had more motive because he was the one actually in the White House at the time, more to lose essentially.
Yeah, but he was like trying to lead investigations. I mean, maybe whatever. Maybe they were false investigations, but
True.
and he was like making like retweeting shit about
Right.
people implicating the Clintons.
Could it also be totally unrelated too? I mean, other government people that aren't exactly president or TV stars.
Like Gates.
Bill Gates. That's
Yeah,
another
because
thing.
Bill Gates is involved a little bit too.
Yeah.
But even like lesser government officials, governors,
Oh yeah.
just like
Oh, there's
Pentagon folks. Like, do you get to the CIA portion of things? To what level is the CIA's involvement with this? Like you
My
were saying.
theory is just that like he started doing the sex trafficking thing, and then people started getting involved, and then you all of a sudden have blackmail on people. So then Ghislaine would bring in certain people that the CIA wanted them to bring in, so that they would then have blackmail on those people, whoever they is, like the powers that be would be able to
But that's
tap
what
into
I
that
don't
resource.
understand is how you're able to do this such a web. You're telling me
I
there's
think
not
high society just operates differently.
But exactly, but like there's not one person in high society that's like will say something like, "Boy, these kids asked me to rape, and I don't feel like it," and they're not going to mention that to somebody.
I mean,
Then I have no faith in humanity at that point.
yeah.
But if you feel like your whole, I don't know, if you feel like
And then you're like, what if I say something, then I'm outing Bill Clinton, and then this happens, and this happens, this whole and then I lose
Well,
my
what
whole
am I
life
saying?
or whatever.
Weinstein, everybody knew about. It was like a horror. It was a well-kept
Exactly.
secret. It was like an open secret.
It was like
Yeah.
on 30 Rock in every episode. They were joking
like,
about
just, like,
Weinstein.
well, yeah, there was a whole character in Entourage that was him
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
being a pervert.
Cosby, a similar thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
yeah.
everybody's terrible.
Oh, everybody's the worst. Also, what's up with that photo of Bill Clinton in a blue dress in Epstein's house?
So, yeah, two other things I wanted to get to, which is that in Epstein's house, there was a photo of Clinton in a blue dress, which I think was like a Lewinsky reference.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. You're probably right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like he fucked her while wearing a blue dress?
Yeah, no,
There's
that's
a
a
lot of
famous
stuff.
dress with the
blue dress with the cum on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing is that Virginia Giuffre, one of one of
Jeffrey
Epstein's,
Epstein.
one of Epstein. I just can't pronounce his first name. One of Epstein's victims claimed Bill Clinton visited Little St. James. So someone claimed it. I guess that was in the It was in the documentary. There are photos of Clinton aboard the Lolita Express together with the logs. Make it hard to believe the former president wasn't aware of Epstein's crime, as he continues to claim. Okay, and then there was also a photo of Clinton being massaged at an airport by one of the victims. But the victim was like, he was a perfect gentleman.
Oh, that's even worse.
That was Daily Mail. Again, I mean, like some of these are sources that
Yeah. Well, what sources can you trust? Like CNN is not going to give you the full scope of what they have
Right.
on him. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, so have there been extra developments now from whether it was murder or suicide? Or are we now just in who would have done it, motivations?
The stuff that I looked up, and of course there are probably a million people on Reddit who are going to say that I'm wrong. The stuff that I looked up looked much more, I think it's much more about who would have a motive and whether it's murder or suicide.
Okay.
The connection of how that person did it, I don't really see.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what do you mean, how they did the murder?
Yeah, like the idea of like, did Bill Clinton know? The questions are to me more like, did Bill Clinton know about what was going on? Was he involved about what was going on? But then
Right.
when it comes to, did Bill Clinton murder Jeffrey Epstein or have a part in the murder? I don't really know where that evidence
Well, it
comes
could have
in.
been like a ton of different things. Not just Bill Clinton. It could have been like Prince Andrew. Like the royal family is very powerful. Like there could be a lot of things coming out of there. Like this is international. There's a lot of like czars and who fucking like Sanjay Gupta was probably on Little St. James. Like everybody.
We're just hurling defamation.
It's actually
Anthony Fauci was on Little St. James.
Well, it's
I
actually
saw him
interesting
there.
that you mentioned Gupta because he was one of the people that said, like, in his medical expertise or whatever, that this was suicide. And it's like, you're not an autopsy guy. Like,
No,
just
you're
because
not-
you have an MD doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're, you know, that it was weird. So he's probably
You
there.
got debunked by Joe Rogan. Like literally. Yeah.
For what?
Basically, CNN was saying that Joe Rogan had taken horse medication or
Ivermectin
whatever.
or whatever, yeah.
Ivermectin. And he was like, I got it from a human doctor. It's a human pill. Like, that's very convenient for you guys to do that. That's like saying, like, I'm taking something that's used for, like, engine cooling and I'm drinking water. Like, you're defaming me on purpose. And Sanjay Gupta was like, looked like an idiot, basically. And that was it.
All right.
It's true.
Where does the CIA come into play? I'm still missing any proof of the CIA being involved.
I don't really have. So in the documentaries, they talked a little bit about this, but they think that the government's more involved with like the whole scheme, like before he died.
Government funded sex trafficking.
Pretty
Okay.
much, yeah.
And the purpose was to get people involved so you'd have something to use over them.
Correct.
To bend them to your will. Which
Yes.
is, I mean, let's just say the CIA is above nothing. Let's just put that out
Yeah.
to play because we know they've done so many things. I mean, the cocaine stuff, all that shit.
Oh, I remember the big celebrity that Michael Baden was a part of the autopsy.
What?
John F. Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
When he was young.
Oh, so this guy's an old
Guy.
guy.
Oh, he's been in the game for a while, huh?
Yep.
What did he say about JFK? Suicide?
Oh, you don't want to get into that. Clinton, actually.
Hillary's on the grassy knoll.
Any other thoughts?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts.
Please.
Well, I'd like to know where you stand on this. That's a thought. And it's also a question.
It's just hard to think that it was suicide when there's so many motives. I realize that doesn't hold up in like court,
Right.
but
But one of the big people with motive to kill him was Jeffrey, right? That was known.
Wait,
you-
to kill who?
Him, like Jeffrey Epstein wanted to kill Jeffrey Epstein
Oh,
at this,
yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
this point. Yeah.
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 And he had the most access. I'm not saying that it was. It could also we could also be in a situation where it was suicide, but all of the other stuff is also still possibly true. You know,
Yeah.
the motives, the secrets, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think he killed himself, and if I don't think he killed himself by his own volition, entirely at his own accord. I will say at the very least, it was a suicide it was an allowed suicide.
Yeah.
I kind of like your allowed suicide theory.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to like pinpoint. I mean, I almost find it even more interesting than the murder. I find it more interesting. I mean, it's related, but who knew about this island? Who went there, would be the worst. And then also bad, who knew about it and didn't say anything.
Yikes.
Well, and that's the thing is like there have to if it's this massive undertaking, there are many more people that know that other than him, no? About these things?
Oh,
There
yeah.
have to have
my
been
God.
so many people involved.
In his like blacklist or his little black book thing, which I found on r/Epstein, there was literally like over 1,000 names.
And it's like a who's who of not only, I mean, it's mainly not
Hollywood,
celebrities, but the
obviously,
celebrities are like a range of reasons why they're famous. Politicians, celebrity,
Right, public figures.
actors, whatever. Yeah, it's insane.
Activists, all that, like everywhere.
Well, activists makes sense, huh?
I'm telling you, philanthropists, pedophiles, synonymous. It's true.
What do you think, Mae?
I don't know. I mean, the bedsheet blood thing's really getting me. I think that there's a lot of people with motive to cover up a murder too. Like there's a lot of people to do the murder and also to cover it up. So I'm going to go with murder still. I think that's fun.
But who did it? Who done it?
I'd like to think, I don't know, maybe the British royal family. Meghan Markle did it. That's what I think.
Meghan Markle snuck
Meghan
into the
Markle.
I like
prison.
blaming the Brits. I
Yeah,
think
let's-
that's
let's
The
blame
royals.
the Brits.
I wouldn't hate, throwing a stone across the pond, God forbid, huh? We can't take all the heat all the time, let me tell you that.
Prince Harry did it.
Prince Harry. I don't trust him with an accent, let me tell you that.
All right. Is it fair to say we were had?
Oh, we were
100% we were had.
All right. Well, we did it.
We
Good
solved it.
Good job, Ben.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.